My name's Oscar and my app's called Nail Anxiety. It aims to help people better understand their anxiety through looking at fingernail health and tracking that.
My name is Noah. My app's called Tremor Check, and the app is designed to help Parkinson's patients track their progression in their illness.
Yeah, and my name's Edward. So my app's called Graphics Handbook, and it's an interactive guide on how to learn 3D computer graphics, which is something that I'm really passionate about.
I mean, for me, I guess I kind of wanted to make an app that was actually able to help people, and I kind of found it inspiring. Like, one of my friends has got anxiety disorder, so I wanted to create something that maybe could be useful for them because I've seen kind of how they have to deal with it every day. I decided to use the kind of camera on a iPad to be able to just scan your fingernails very quickly every few days, and it will use a machine learning model to kind of analyze each fingernail and score them between 1 and 5.
My app, basically the way it works is you go into the app each day to take a test, and each test measures like two things. So the first one is like your hand stability. So that's measuring your motor skills in your hands, because that tends to be something that degrades over time with Parkinson's. And then the other thing is voice stability. So another thing that degrades initially is like your voice control. So you'll like notice some kind of like tremor in people's voices. So using some cool maths, we like detect the patterns in people's voices and track their progression there. So we can see how worse the tremor's getting or good. Yeah. It was actually inspired by my granddad, who has Parkinson's. And when he first got diagnosed, he would like carry around this huge binder with like all these different test results, and he'd just carry it everywhere because he would have to do them daily. And so it didn't matter if he was traveling, he'd just have to take it everywhere. And if he lost it, then he would need to get his backup out. And yeah, so trying to digitize that was a huge part of my inspiration. Yeah.
So my app, yeah, so it's about helping people learn computer graphics. So when I learned it, it was really, all the resources are just dry and technical, and they're kind of really heavy. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a more fun approach on that and make something that's light, easy to understand, and kind of teaches you everything without having to necessarily go to code. So it does that with lots of interactive examples, which are spread throughout different topics and chapters, which is basically what the content is broken into. And there's a little character called Pix, and he's kind of there to help you join topics together and just provide little bits of information and that kind of stuff. More like accessible way to learn about computer graphics.
So the school managed to organise a group of Apple people to come up, and they first introduced us to Swift and making apps for iOS devices and all sorts of things like that. And I guess it was sort of something that I'd never really tried before, so I really wanted to kind of give it a go, I guess, and that eventually led to entering in the challenge. I've kept doing it, this is my third time now, so yeah, it's been pretty enjoyable.
I follow a bit of a different story to these two. They had done like game development in the past, so they'd done some kind of coding, but I had never programmed before, so this was my first time getting into this kind of area. For me, what was really exciting about learning Swift in particular is it was a very visual way of learning. Designing was a huge part of learning as well. It wasn't just how do we type this word in this sequence, it was more how do we design a user interface that's like valuable for people. Seeing how I was able to like help others with that was really quite special, because technology had been a passion of mine, but creating software wasn't something that I had done before, and it was actually quite an exciting journey.
Yeah, and so as Noah was saying, me and Oscar have been learning software and doing game development, that kind of stuff, for quite a long time now. We picked it up when we were really young because our dad works in the software industry, but I hadn't really taken it to Swift or any of Apple's platforms. But I'd seen all the amazing opportunities that Oscar and Noah were getting through the school and the people they were bringing in, and from Apple. And I thought that was a really great thing to try and get in on, because yeah, why not use that opportunity?
Well, yeah, so for me, I think a lot of people look at programming software development as very like mundane. It's a slow process where, you know, you're nerding out, doing all this maths. But the way I like to look at it is it's more of a journey of like discovering how other people use user interfaces, discovering how you can help people with developing your own user interfaces. And that process for me is actually really exciting. So every single time I've lost, I've always had a reason in my head. I'm like, oh, I actually probably should have done this better, or this might help people better in this way. So yeah, that's kind of been what's motivated me.
Yeah, and I think we all enjoy, coding quite a bit. So I guess it is not as hard because of that. Well, we've done it 3 years now, so I think we probably both enjoy challenges quite a bit too. So, and it is fun seeing how you improve over the 3 years.
Well, I must say, this time around, I was like, if I don't get it this time, I'm gonna be really annoyed. But that was the first time I ever felt that. So each time I lost, I knew there was a reason and there was something to improve on. I never felt like, oh, I was unfairly judged or whatever, or I should have won that year.
I mean, I haven't lost, which, so it might be a bit rich of me to say this. Like, even if you don't win, it doesn't mean that you didn't make something amazing.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's such a small percentage of people who win.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you weren't right up there too and you just missed the bracket. Like, you can still make great things and maybe you didn't get recognition, but it doesn't change the fact that it was still amazing and it still means a lot to people.
Yeah.
Being able to actually make something that genuinely helps people and, is impactful, I guess, is not often something you get the opportunity to do when you're doing other programming things. Like you're either making, random command line tools or like games that are kind of weird but also funny. So it's a nice opportunity to be able to make something that is actually helpful.
When the computer was kind of like first up and coming, this guy named Steve Jobs, this guy named Steve Jobs, you may have heard of him, said a computer should be a bicycle for the mind. It should be something that helps people do what they do better. And obviously we've kind of gone off track there with social media and things, but that to me, that like vision of creating something that helps people do what they do better is really like quite motivational for me.
Didn't really consider anything outside of game development before doing it because I guess I liked playing games and it was fun making them, but I think exploring this kind of other side has definitely made me kind of broaden my horizons, I guess, about what I might want to do in the future.
In year 7, it's funny, in my like interview to, go to St. Andrews, I said, I don't want to do anything related to technology. I was like, do you want to do what your dad does? And I was like, no, I don't want to do any of that. And then a year later, I was like all into it. So it's definitely shaped how I view things. It's also given me so many great connections with so many great people who have not only inspired me, but I see them inspire others, and that's really quite valuable to me. So yeah, it's definitely shaped what I want to do for work in the future.
Obviously, me and Oscar have pretty similar upbringings. But yeah, it's really broadened the horizon because I'd only really considered games as my future, but seeing that I can do great things with apps and I also enjoy making apps has kind of shifted my perspective and really broadened things.
I feel like it's hard because I think all of us have worked so much on the apps that we've been. It is hard to keep working on a project after that deadline is.
I'll like open the project and I'll be like, oh, this again, that's right. And for me, a big part of software development is you can take parts of a project and implement it into new things. So even if you don't plan to extend the project into the future, you still like, not only did you learn a lot, but you also have stuff there that you can use. So for me, my like voice detection algorithm is something that I can use in multiple other apps. So it's not necessarily just about extending this current project or getting that project onto the App Store as much as I personally want to do that.
My app actually isn't finished. So yeah, if I was to come back to it, then I'd definitely finish it. Like what brought me to computer graphics was just wanting to play around with things and work out how things worked. So I'll probably keep doing that, but if or when I come back to Graphics Handbook, I'll definitely finish it, and it's in a state where I would be pretty happy to put it on the App Store, so you never know.
I think we've all also got so much schoolwork going on at the moment too.
Yeah.
It is hard, but
It's a fine balance. One of the nice things about the challenge is it lines up greatly with school holidays. One thing I found, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, is a lot of the stuff I was learning in maths, I found really nicely to translate over to my app development, and seeing how that maths can like quote unquote improve people's lives is actually like the coolest thing for me. I'd probably say do it because you really like it. Don't do, you should never really do something if you just want it for money or you just want to win or whatever. Do it because you really enjoy it and because you see the benefits it brings other people.
yeah, and I think with that interest too, like it's the setbacks don't feel like they're setbacks almost. Like, you're always kind of making lots of projects. So I guess, not making it through the challenge a few times is like, it only makes you stronger, I guess. It's only gonna make your entries improve every year.
Yeah, if you did want to win and you felt discouraged, if that's something that you really want to do, then you need to keep trying.
Yeah.
Because you can't win next year if you don't enter. You need to look at your submission and you need to go and look at the things that you can improve and the things that you've learnt from it and make a better one next year. And maybe you win, maybe you don't. But if you keep that mentality, then you can only grow as a programmer and as a person.
Yeah, I've had a few kids who are, curious about it or have entered but were unsuccessful who have asked, what can I do better? And I always come back to don't tie yourself up in just the challenge. It's great to do it, but also create other projects that you're passionate about. You don't just have to work towards this one thing because all of a sudden when that one thing doesn't work out, you're devastated because it was the only thing you were really doing. So I find tying yourself up in as many projects as possible really fun, and you learn a lot more, and you'll find yourself improving more because you're doing it more. So yeah.
And when you look at all the entries online, like there is such a kind of wide range of different things people have made. Like you look at them and like there's so many different ideas that, some of them are super math heavy, some of them have no math but are just really cool.
Yeah, and that's the great thing. It doesn't matter if you're terrible at maths or you're terrible at whatever. If you've got a passion, I find it so much easier to just make it work. Well, yeah, that's one of the unique things about app development, I think, because not only is it about coding, it's about empathizing with other people and learning about other people. And a lot of the time programmers will make great stuff for themselves that realistically no one knows how to use because they don't make any graphical sense to normal people. And yeah, so I think app development is quite unique in the fact that it makes you design for others, which is really quite special.
A very different angle on a very different thing. So thanks for enlightening me in that. But I'm done.